Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to hang out with me a little bit and check the video out. I really appreciate that. And guys, today, a little fun video. We're gonna wade into the controversial topic subject as far as some of the videos I do on the channel here. And I want to talk about, I've sort of identified 5 of them here. There's probably a few more, but there's 5 main topics that really trigger my viewers for some reason, or not all my viewers, but triggers a percentage of my viewers to the extent where a lot of them will just unsubscribe from the channel. And I don't really understand that, because we're here on the channel to offer opinions and help educate and help teach, and everything that I do is sort of in line with that. So I'm going to go over each one of these topics and sort of discuss a little bit why people get so triggered about it, and I'd really be curious to get your guys' feedback as well. Also, guys, before we get started here, I just want to let you know that Tackle Warehouse has just announced they got a bunch of really good late fall holiday type fishing sales going on right now. If you guys are looking to purchase anything fishing related, clothing, trolling motors, depth finders, lures, rods and reels, whatever, not a better place in the country than Tackle Warehouse. So I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys could use and bookmark that link. It's a really good way to support the channel, and a big thank you for me and my family for everybody that's been doing that. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's just wade into this a little bit here. I want to sort of go over some of the ones. Now, these are the videos, guys. When I do these videos, they get a lot of engagement. That's not the reason I'm doing them. Everything that I do on the channel here is designed to bring awareness, to educate, and to teach people about fishing. So some of these topics, even though they trigger people, they're pertinent to the conversation of improving or learning to be a better bass fisherman. So I'm gonna sort of go over what I consider the top, well, not what I consider, what are the top ones, sort of give you guys some of my thoughts on a little bit. So first one is anytime I do a video on braid to fluorocarbon. Now I do this quite a bit. You guys have heard me talk about it. And guys, I'm telling you what, when I talk about how I don't like braid to fluorocarbon, and I outline all the reasons why I'm against using braid to fluorocarbon, like every one of these topics here, it's like I insulted somebody's mom. These topics that I'm going to talk to you guys about, people are emotionally invested in their viewpoint on it, to the point where if it's challenged, they get extremely offensive. They get offended to the point where they either send nasty comments or unsubscribe from the channel. So whole reason about my anti-braid to fluorocarbon is, we've talked about this before, it's just another weak link. I think it's overrated. I think it's overhyped. It's, in my opinion, you lose a lot of the advantageous properties of straight fluorocarbon when you go to braid to fluorocarbon. It doesn't do anything to help you get more bites, nothing. It's like when you're using braid to fluorocarbon, you get 0 more bites. In fact, you probably lose bites, because in some situations, as your leader gets shorter, you've got this big old honking piece of braid coming down into the water, and don't think the fish can't see that. I mean, they can. If they can see a freaking minnow moving from 50 feet away, they can see some freaking yellow fluorocarbon or braided line going on in the water, even if there's a 10-foot fluorocarbon leader on it. So from that standpoint, I'm just trying to help you guys catch more fish by understanding the benefits of going to straight fluorocarbon, because most of the people that are very emotionally attached to braid to fluorocarbon have not spent decades using straight fluorocarbon on a spinning reel. They were taught to use braid to fluorocarbon, so they don't really know much difference beyond that. Okay, next topic, guys, is bed fishing. Anytime I do a topic on bed fishing, super controversial, and I don't understand this, because bed fishing is a conservation issue, and it makes perfect sense right off the bat. It's like, there's a reason we don't allow deer hunting, when the does are having babies. They're the season, on any season, any hunting season, you're not allowed to hunt when the females of the species are producing young, except for bass fishing. And then there's no rules whatsoever on it. It's like when these bass are trying to lay eggs and reproduce, we're allowed to go in there and fun fishing or recreational fishing or tournament fishing, rip them off the beds, take them out of the water, put a knife to them if you want them, and kill them. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why there's been this disconnect between the reality of reproduction in the animal world and that disconnect on why we don't ban, or not ban, but just not allow bass fishing during the prime spawning periods. Now, we've talked about this before a lot. Yeah, all the bass don't spawn at one time, but most any geographical location of the country, you've got about a 2 to 3 week window where most of the heavy spawn takes place, and those are the times that need to be limited. So I've never really understand the people that are adamant about that don't understand it from a conservation standpoint, why we should not allow bed fishing, during the peak seasons there. Okay, the next one has been the recent controversies is the hot foot, guys. This hot foot thing, it's sort of like the braid to fluorocarbon. People are emotionally connected to their hot foot. And I've given countless different reasons why a hot foot is a poor choice for a bass boat. And yesterday I did that video, or a couple days ago I did that video on it, and Mike Iaconelli came on my channel and made a comment that he totally agreed with me. He doesn't use a hot foot either. Most of the top bass boat drivers don't. I mean, most every top, high level bass boat driver that has been doing it for years and years do not use a hot foot for all of the reasons I laid out in that particular video. And again, I don't understand why people get so wrapped up and so vitriol and so mad about the fact that I'm outlining all these good points about not using a hot foot. It's like, it's an interesting study of the human nature, how people get a worldview and they get connected to that worldview. And when somebody comes along to challenge that, they just get really, really upset about it. But again, just like the hot foot, just like the braid to fluorocarbon, everything else that goes out there, I'm just trying to help you guys have a safer, more enjoyable experience on the water. Okay, the next one, guys, is the big one, live scope, forward-facing sonar. I don't really need to rehash that here, because if you've ever seen my channel before, you know how adamant I'm against forward-facing sonar. And again, this is another one of those things, every one of the reasons that I point out the dangers and disadvantage and the threat that forward-facing sonar and that type of advancing technology has in our sport, it's not to benefit me any way. I don't have any vested beneficial interest in it. And the fact that I lose subscribers when I talk about it, but the whole thing about it, it's a conservation and sustainability issue. It's a tradition and it's a heritage issue. So every point that I outline about why forward-facing sonar has no point in the sport has to do, again, with the future of the sport that we're going to pass on to our next generations. And not just the sustainability issue and everything connected with that, but the whole baseline tradition of what fishing is. And I don't need to go into it here in this video, but there's 20% of the population out there that, again, they are emotionally connected to their live scope, they're emotionally connected to their hot foot, they're emotionally connected to the braid to fluorocarbon. Those are three big ones right there. I mean, people I've dug their heels in, and most people are against forward-facing sonar, even the pros out there. The majority of the people, if somebody would do a completely honest, independent poll about forward-facing sonar, most people do not want it in our fishing. And fishing would be better off without it. When you look at every metric that you measure what fishing is and why fishing is valuable and why fishing is important, a world without forward-facing sonar does nothing but enhance that world of fishing. So that's just another one of those things I'll keep talking about here in the video, and it's a huge trigger point for a lot of people. Okay, now the last one we're going to talk about here, guys, and I have lost thousands of subscribers talking about this, thousands. I have never seen a topic that some people are they are so ingrained with their self-identity on this topic that they can't see behind it. I'm sure I'll lose some subscribers on this video, but if you're one of those people out there that are in denial of the reality of man-made climate change, just listen to me for about a minute here. Then you can unsubscribe before that. Here's another one of those things about man-made climate change. I don't understand why some people why they have such a vitriolic bias against the scientific reality of this situation, because it has to do with the very long-term sustainability of the human species on this planet. And you would think that anything that would threaten the long-term survival aspect of humans, people would get behind. But the problem with that is It's not about the conversation, do you believe in man-made climate change? That's like saying, do you believe that, the earth, rotates, it revolves around the sun? It's scientific fact that man contributes to accelerated climate change. It's about the question you need to ask yourself is do you understand what man-made climate change is? Because most people don't. The big argument that you get about this all the time, people say, Randy, this is a bunch of crap. You don't know what you're talking about. The climate's been changing for millions and millions of years. Yeah, it has been. And most of the extinction level events that have occurred on this planet were due to major climate shifts. But the problem that what people don't understand because they haven't been educated or they haven't checked into it is our climate change right now is accelerating 50 times faster than it ever has in the history of the earth before. And it's due to the acceleration of us pumping 300 billion tons of CO2 in our atmosphere. So there's this direct connection between man activities as far as their CO2 production and this 50% or the 50 time greater change in the climate that we're experiencing out there. And one of the things about this is the fossil fuel industry has spent billions of dollars intentionally spreading this misinformation where people believe that. They believe that climate change is a hoax and climate's always been changing and all this type people will adapt. And it's like, if it's cold out, it's like, yeah, give me some of that climate change. And this is dangerous. This is a dangerous perspective because 99% of the global climate scientists around the planet all agree man-made climate change is that we are experiencing right now is the result of man's activities. You always hear people say, well, even science can't agree on it. Yeah, they can agree on it because you've got 147 different countries with their climate scientists, including the United States with NOAA and NASA. The United States, the military, the Pentagon has national security plans in place based upon the predictions on what they call man-made climate change on their site. It's not some conspiracy for people to try to make a buck on. That's another thing perpetuated by the big oil companies. And for me, I would rather listen to the experts at NASA and NOAA and the climate scientists that spend their lives dedicated to studying this rather than some cable news anchor that has a community college degree that says climate change is a hoax. And the reason I talk about it on the channel is that climate change is directly connected to bass fishing because every species out there, including bass, we lose about a dozen species on our planet go extinct every year right now due to variations in our climate change. Because when you're talking about what climate change does, it affects human beings eventually, is it affects the entire life cycle. Every species on this planet lives in balance with climate cycles from the smallest to the largest. And as these smaller species, microscopic or some type of plant life or simple organisms, as they are affected by man-made climate change, higher up the food chain gets affected. And eventually it reaches human beings. And all of the greatest minds in this country or in the world say this is the greatest threat to the sustainability and survival of our species, including Elon Musk. He's a big climate change advocate, even though I don't agree with him on everything. I do agree with him on his stance on climate change. But I bring this up in fishing because I want people to understand and I want people to be educated about the reality of this because it is connected to bass fishing. And let's just say, guys, that 99% of the climate scientists are right and the talk show hosts with the community college degrees let's just say that 99% of the climate experts, including NASA, NOAA, and the Pentagon, are all wrong. And all these, dozen talk show hosts that pump all this hoax stuff about climate change say they're right. Let's just play that game a second. Excuse me. What is wrong with us transitioning into green energy technology and becoming the leader in that? That to me, when you're talking about the United States becoming a leader in green energy technology and not getting behind the 8 ball behind China or other countries that are already implementing that technology, what's wrong with that? I mean, green energy technology it offers the potential to have one of the hugest economic booms that our country has ever seen before. And there's a big resistance behind it, because when you have a congressperson or a senator in the United States that is funded by ExxonMobil, and ExxonMobil basically says, yeah, we're gonna subsidize you, but we want to make sure that you don't get behind these climate change initiatives, you can't get anything done. So that's one of the reasons I bring it up. So you can unsubscribe if you want, but I don't have any other agenda except for passing this along and trying to educate people for the future sustainability of our fishing and our planet and everything. So anyway, guys, that's the big ones right there. Those are the trigger ones that really, get people mad about it. I just want you to know that I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm not trying to make any miserable. I'm just offering my opinions. And that's what YouTube's about. It's about offering your opinions and having a civil dialogue. And there's nothing wrong with people disagreeing. We can all disagree on everything, but we can also have a respectful civil discussion and debate on whatever issue we're talking about. And unfortunately, over the past 7 or 8 years, we've lost a tremendous amount of our civility in this country. So hopefully we can get that back. So hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.